Okay, the blinds are 25 and 50 right now. We have 1,565 remaining behind us, and we are down to 6 players, and we got 3 limpers, and we're just gonna check behind. The pot really is not big enough for me to really make a huge attempt and try to steal it. So we're just going to check it down and try and see a flop. We flop the nut flush draw, and we're going to disguise our hand a little bit. We're going to disguise our hand a little bit here and fire out a bet, a pretty decent, a pretty big size bet, compared to the size of the pot. It does not tell my opponents that I have a flush draw. We're actually misrepresenting our hand to try to confuse our opponents into believing that we have like a king of some kind. We're trying to make it kind of a protective bet, or maybe I had like a jack 4 or something like that in the big blind, and we flop 2 pair, and we fire out a big bet to try to protect our hand from any spades that could hit in later streets. So we fire out this bet, to kind of disguise our hand and also get a little potential value out of it. And we get a call from top pair right to the left of us, and I don't like this call by this guy with the king queen. I think he should raise it and apply pressure to me, because he has a lot of chips to apply pressure, and he's got to assume that he has the best hand, because I didn't raise pre-flop. If I had ace king or king jack or something of that nature, I most likely would have raised. A raise would have been the favorable play in my position. So basically, I don't like his flat call, because also he's also inviting the 2 people behind us, the 2 people behind him. He's giving them good odds to see some more cards as well, and he's not protecting his hand, like he should. Thankfully for him, the 2 players fold behind him, but unfortunately we hit the nuts, and also unfortunately gives him top 2 pair. And see, we're going to continue to misrepresent our hand. We're going to continue to misrepresent it. We're going to bet. Now we're going to bet a small bet, and any observant opponent is going to see that bet, is not going to see that as a flush, as a made flush. They would most likely see it as kind of a fearish bet, kind of a bet that they're unsure as to what, as if they're ahead. If they had a king in their hand, and they made that big bet on the flop, and they make this smallish bet when the 4th spade hits, they're not going to really believe that we have the nut flush here, or even a spade for that matter. It's kind of a bet to it's kind of a probish bet. We're just going to bet to see if our opponent has a flush. That's what our opponent is going to kind of interpret that bet. That's how they would most likely interpret it. And he does decide to flat call us here, which is a decent play. I mean, he did misplay his hand on the flop, I believe, but he's practicing avoidance here and just flat calling here. But he is scared. We definitely know that. And now, since we got pretty good value out of our opponent here, we're going to fire out a true value bet. Now, this value bet should definitely signal to him that we've got you nailed. We have you totally nailed, but we're going to make a value bet, that you really can't get away from. I'm giving my opponent, I gave my opponent exactly 4-to-1 odds to call this bet. And because I am putting him on a weaker spade. I was putting him on a weaker spade or a king. And he's been calling us down all the way to the river. And if he were to call me on the turn, then he should call me on the river, because that 8 of clubs is just a total hanger to a board such as that, 4 spades. And it's just a meaningless card. So, I mean, if he's going to call us on the turn, he should call us one more time on the river. And he does, and we get some pretty good value out of our hand here. I don't think he would have called an all-in bet. I really don't think he would have. I think he was definitely scared. He was definitely scared of us having a spade. So we just wanted to, let him be scared and, and just keep it cheap for him. Keep it cheap and keep him in the hand. And we did just that, and we take down a nice pot.